Hello, everybody. What's going on? It's Jason Rodriguez. I am excited about today's topic. It's one of the topics that we needed to talk about, which is comps. We're going to talk about comps. And so we got this presentation put together so that we could talk about comps. And from there, we do have just a reminder, we have our chat on the side. So if you want to chat with me, just send me a quick message inside there, and I'll be more than happy to chat. And I'll answer your questions as we're rocking and rolling and talking about comps today, because real estate comps are super important in figuring out the value of the property. Boom. So we have this presentation ready for us. And I just kind of want to get into it. I just want to get into it. So we are, let me pull this up. I usually got to switch slides, set display, and then I got to swap. There you go. And then I close this guy, and then I close this guy, and then I'm going to share my screen. So give me a second. I'm going to share the screen right now. Bam, bam. Hello. Hi. All right. So now I'm big. So best practices for finding property values. So before I put this screen on, I just want to chat with you a little bit about about comps and that. So a lot of times we get students that they get kind of stuck in the comp world and finding the value of the property. I'm going to tell you, a lot of times when I'm looking at values of properties, in finding the value of the property is definitely an art to doing it. So what does that mean is that if you get 3 appraisers in a room to find a value on a property, they are going to come with similar numbers, but not the same exact number down to the penny. So that in the beginning, I didn't know that. And I was like, oh, okay. So it's kind of an art and you have to kind of figure it and roll with it as you're doing it. Got it. With us on our side of whether we're buying properties cash or we're doing the creative side, taking over payments on it, understanding comps is definitely going to, you will get better as you do more of them because of the art format of it. People a lot of times ask, like, how long does it take me to do comps? So I'm going to say, I could come and do what I call my little rough and dirty, meaning I just go in quick enough to see, do I see money? How much? Give me a ballpark, and I'm in plus or minus 10 to 15%, which may be enough for me to come and say, yes, I'm going to do the deal. Rough and dirty, I might do that in 10 minutes. When I dig deep into it and I do a deep dive to find out exactly what this bad boy is worth, that may take me like 30 minutes. So since we're constantly evaluating a lot of properties, I may use one versus the other. So I may just do close enough. And I said 10 to 15%. I'm actually closer than that. When I think about it, $250,000 house. Yeah, I'm probably like maybe 10%. Plus or minus. But my objective at that point is to come and ask the question, do you see money, Jason? Show me the money. It's enough where I can say, hey, yes, I want to make an offer. Let's get this one on the contract. Let's move forward on it. So versus let me come spend a whole lot of time and this is not a good deal. We were looking at a deal yesterday and we did some rough and dirty on it. And it showed that there was profits in it. But the sway on the profit was between an okay deal to like a great deal. And I was willing to pull the trigger immediately based on the okay numbers. And then we had come back because they accepted the offer, or they were just about to accept the offer. And then I said, let's go dig deeper to make sure how good this deal is. And it went from maybe like a $40,000 profit to about a $62,000 profit. So, and I was happy for that. I knew that the numbers would be higher because I was doing my numbers conservative. So I knew they would be higher. The question is how high? So it was about $22,000 higher. So with that being said, best practices for finding deals. Let's just get into it, people. Let's do it. Let's get into comps. Comps are your friend. And one thing I will come and remind you is, like, you're always going to work on comps. You're always going to have to find the value. And a lot of times, here's something that's interesting. People are like, well, you don't know my neighborhood. Because I coach and we mentor students all over the country. They're like, yeah, but you don't know my neighborhood. But here's what I know. I know comps. I know how to find days on market. And when you know how to find comps and days on market, what you're starting to do is to analyze data. And the data knows better than the other people. So data definitely knows. So with that being said, let's get into comps. All right, now I'll put my presentation. Let's do that presentation. All right, best practice for finding property values. So when I think of some, we're going to jump into it and talk about, what are some of the best practices for finding properties. And is the property value accurate? So here are some of the things that we are going to be considering. The location, the market that it is, the age of the property, the condition of the property, any improvements that we have made on the property, and then the neighborhood. So let's jump into all of these a little bit. So the location. A lot of times, I think like the first one, location and the neighborhood, also come very close, but they are a little bit different. So a lot of times what we've seen is that we've had properties that were one neighborhood touches the next neighborhood. Very common. I mean, that's how you progressively get to the next neighborhood. And sometimes it could be the next block is a higher value. Sometimes it may be across the road is a higher value. Crossing the railroad tracks may be a higher value. Crossing any major roads or highways may be of higher value. So those are things that we need to look out and make sure that we are staying inside of where our similar type properties are. If you're crossing over, it has to be that it is a true crossover and it is a true, like the same similar property is on the other side. And when I see those types of things, I look very, very deeply to make sure that they are true apples to apples. The market. So when they, matter of fact, let's bounce from market. Let's go to age. So on the age, a lot of times what we'll start to see is that we are, let's say, for instance, the average house is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2-car garage, about 1,500 square feet. That is our bread and butter. That is what most of America first-time home buyers are looking for. 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2-car garage, 1,500 square feet. So now when we talk about age, the comps, learning comps is, for the most part, something you can use all over the country. I've comped properties in pretty much 40 of the 50 states. So I get the process in it. So inside there, with age being into consideration, you have to have it where you want a similar type property and a similar age. So let's say a property, I'm thinking of deals we just did and one that we're just looking at. So there's a property is probably built in the 1940s. So where I'm at, the 1940s, 50s, and 60s are pretty much the same house. There's not much difference to it. Once we cross over to the 70s, and the 70s over here seem to be a very different style of a house. It is different. It's still the same 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2-car garage, 1,500 square feet, but it is a very different style of house, and not only style, but the age. So we got to keep those ages in place. We get some people and they're like, well, we want to keep them in the same 10-year decade. I don't necessarily agree with that, especially if the market is not indicating that. So this helps when you start to understand. And you'll see some comps and you'll be like, well, this one was built in the 30s, but it was renovated in the 90s and it has the 90s feel to it. Or this one was built in the 30s and it is fully HGTV remodeled, looking beautiful today. So you know those ages, you're gonna have some disparity in them. But I try on the comps to find similar age properties. Definitely like a house built in the 90s is not going to be a comp to a house built in the 1940s. A house built in the 1940s obviously is not going to be compared to a brand new house, or even something 10 years old or 20 years old, or not even 30 years. Maybe 30 years are back, before the 60s. I may go up 30 or 40 years. Why? Because they kind of look the same. So that might be why. And a house, house built in the 30s and a house built in the 60s, they're still very, very old houses. They're going to fall into that bucket. Houses built in the 1990s, I'm going to try to comp them with 1990s houses. I would not comp a 1990 house with a brand new house, or a house 5 years old. It's just not a comp. So that's that. Condition. Well, we buy a lot of ugly houses. Especially on the cash side. On the takeover payment side, we're gonna be tend to buy prettier houses. But let's just talk about the cash side. So we're talking about the cash side right now, and the property condition needs a lot of renovation. We are doing what we call an after repair value of the property. So for us, we're not looking for necessarily the as-is price. If you are going for as-is price, then you have to find another property. Let's say our property needs a new kitchen, a new floors, new bathroom, it's dated, and it needs a new furnace. Well, then you would have, for the as-is price, you would have to find something similar. You're usually not getting an as-is value of the property or an as-is appraisal, not on what we do. We are usually establish our price on what we are paying for the property, and then we are selling it. When we sell the property, we are looking for the after repair value. And that's where it comes from. That's where the nickname ARV comes from, after repair value. So the after repair value is considering this property is fixed up and looking HGTV ready, like just beautiful. Whatever, if it needs a new kitchen or upgraded kitchen or bathrooms or upgraded bathrooms or fix the basement, paint the floors, put new floorings, upgrade the floorings, whatever we're doing says and it doesn't have to be as high as value. At whatever level of renovation you've done, you're going to get that kind of value for it. So I want to be clear with that, whatever kind of renovation you've done. Why? Because sometimes we do some deals that are called hotels. So like we may fix it up a little bit just to get it good enough to put it on the market. And we are not, let's say, give an example. If we're buying a property and the ARV is in mint condition, $200,000, but we don't do all those things to get us to a $200,000. Like maybe we needed to, redo floors and paint and doors, and change the 2 bathrooms and a kitchen to get it all the way up to $200,000. And we say, you know what? We're not going to rip out the kitchen. We're just going to kind of polycoat the bathroom, meaning put like a refinish on the bathroom. Keep the same original one and refinish that. Maybe throw a little vanity. Maybe we won't change the floors. It still has the 1970 floors, and we'll stage it well. And we will put vinyl versus carpet or tile rather in the kitchen and the bathrooms. So we just did just enough. We've done the math up front, and we said, if we fix it all the way up and put the $50,000 into it, we make $50,000. Let's say we make $60,000 of profit. If we only put $20,000 of renovation, and it's faster, less work, but we're not going to come in and get 200,000. We may only get 170. But we may still get $50,000 of work. So for all that extra work, we only made $10,000 more plus a lot of time. We call it a hotel. So we do very little, but we're also not expecting the highest value for it. So that comes to that line right here where it says condition. If we're only putting it to a certain condition, then we need to find comps that will value that certain level condition. Like when we do a hotel, a lot of times we're putting values on properties that were, maybe the kitchen is still older on the comp. Maybe, it needs a little bit of work. The comp needs a little bit of work. Maybe the comp property wasn't painted and someone's living there for the last 5 years, and they're not putting a fresh new coat of paint on it. So that's where our hotel number will come in. Now, when we do a full renovation and it is was Home and Garden TV, HGTV, and it is super beautiful, then we're gonna comp ours with those. New kitchen floors, new bathroom, new paint, new roof, new appliances. They all have new. Mine are all new. The condition is new on both. Those are apples to apples. Then I would get that higher comp. And like in that example I said, then when I would get the $200,000 number, which is very interesting. So we've done a lot of market research in the last, like, say, 2 years to see, should we renovate the property? No, in the past, we were renovating the property all the way to its mint condition, every single one. And then we started to just play with math, and we started to realize, look, we're going to make $50,000 on this property and $60,000 on the other one. Same apple to apple. Excuse me. If we renovate it all the way, we make $60,000. If we only did a shorter renovation with less capital and less time, let me say this again, less money, less energy, and less time, we would make $50,000. When we said, if we took that same time and we did that rather than a 6-month renovation, or rather a 4-month renovation, that we could do 3 in a year, we've said we could do probably 5 in a year with the same money, the same capital. We put the money to work, we get the money back, we put the money to work, we get the money back, we put the money to work, we get the money back, put the money to work. So it's the same capital that we deploy. What we started to realize was it was faster, easier, and more profitable. And we made it was a lot more money. Now we had to get used to, like, hey, we weren't putting the prettiest house on the market, but here's the other thing. We were able to put a nice house back on the market, and the people that were doing the high-end renovations and that they were like super beautiful, the person that was buying ours would say, you know what, this one is not, ours is not bad. They could do the upgrades later if they wanted to, and it was cheaper. So we would get a lot of foot traffic. So just knowing those comps help you to make better business decisions, and whether you're going to do a full renovation or a semi-renovation, right? All right, so the improvements. So we kind of just touched on improvements. We're going to compare each improvement, and we get a plus or minus for the improvements that we do. And we're going to talk a little bit about what the appraiser would say. What is the appraiser going to say? So neighborhood. So we talked a little bit about neighborhood already. Let's go to the next one. Comparable houses. So let's get this very clear. So you hear the word comps a lot thrown around. Comps. Comps is short for comparables. What are the comparables on this property? Because we are comparing this house, house 1, house 2, and house 3. Boom. So next piece here, it says find 3 comps, right? So when you're finding the 3 comps on houses, just because they're 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2-car garage, does not mean, and they're 1,500 square feet, all of them, doesn't mean that they're all comps. Like a good example is here, right, on this little picture was the demonstration, is those are 3 totally different type properties. And those 3 different type properties, we would need 3 different comps. Let's just say they're all 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,500 square foot house. And they're all in the same neighborhood. They're all of those are going to have different prices because some are newer, some are older, some are they're just totally different. And that's that. Make sure you have true comps. Like here's a real life picture of this. These are 3 houses all in the same street, and the one to the right and the one to the left definitely. The one in the middle is definitely not a comp. But I thought it was a cute picture. It's like, what are these? What are those? Not comps. Even the one to the right and the one to the left actually have the same square footage. The one to the right, the one to the left have the same exact square footage, but it is not. Now, the one in the middle, ironically enough, is a very close in square footage. You just can't see here, but it is long. It's a very long house. So, but none of them are comps. I would not use any of these to say they're all the same. In fact, yeah, I just totally different, just like the picture. Now you see these 3. These are comps. These are close in proximity, similar in style, same square footage. This is the perfect example of a comp. Will you always get this? No. But is this the goal? Yes. I figured I'll show you a nice pretty picture of all the same exact things. A comp here and a comp there, comp everywhere. So let's talk about location. So what's good? Good is 1 mile or less. 2, what's better? Similar subdivisions. Number 3, same street. Boom. Number 4, rural areas, they should probably be in the same school. And I'm throwing rural areas because some people are, people are listening to this from all over the country. And I don't buy too much in rural areas, but in the rural areas is more like the same school. And you definitely need to practice on your skills with that and same acreage and that kind of stuff. But that's not really what we're here to talk about that. We're really here to talk about more of the average type of a comp. So 1 mile or less. We want it on the same street as possible, as often as possible. And I will come and say the higher the price comp, some of these start to expand a little bit more. Bam. What do we have here? Recently sold. So what is good? 6 to 12 months. Yeah, that's good. Sometimes you have to go a little bit further out because there may not be the same exact property sold. What's better? Less than 90 days. And what's the best? 30 days. 30 days or before. So here's a question. What would the appraiser say? I always ask that question. What would the appraiser say? Right? So let's keep that in mind, and we'll talk a little bit more about what the appraiser is going to say. Let's see here. All right. Size of house. So plus or minus 200 square feet, same bedrooms count, same bathroom count, same style of house, a similar lot size. So those are kind of the main rules that we want to use with comps. But I also will say this piece. Let's just say we have a 4-bedroom house. We have a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,500 square foot house that is, and then that recently sold in the last 30 days, let's say in the same block. And then we have a 4-bedroom house that was 1,600 square feet. Oh, let's put a price to the first one. Let's say the first one sold for $200,000. Now this second one is a 4-bedroom, 1,600 square feet, which is 100 feet bigger, and 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,600 square feet on the same block, and it sold for $210,000. One would assume that it might be worth $10,000, and that may be true and accurate. But the first question I say is, can you use that as a comp? Well, I've had many people like, oh, no. It can only be a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2-car garage. And it must be an identical app. Everything must be absolutely perfectly matched. That is inaccurate. Now, why do I say that? Because at the end of the day, one of the questions that I had asked myself is who makes the final decision on these comps? Like when does the buck stop? Well, the buck stops with the appraiser. The appraiser is the one that says, hey, the appraiser is going to say whether they're going to, what they're going to come and do. So the appraiser is going to say, will we use the 4-bedroom? Yeah, if that's all that's there. If we have plenty of 3 bedrooms, then we're going to take the 3 bedrooms. But if we have only 4 bedrooms, and that's what we're going to take, and it just recently sold and everything else, they'll figure out what the value of that 4th bedroom is, and they would subtract it off the price of the 4-bedroom to align it with the 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. And in this scenario, we might say that bedroom was worth $10,000. I don't want you to think and sit and by any stretch think that I'm saying that a bedroom is worth $10,000 or a room is worth this. It is literally comp by comp, city, a town by town, city by city kind of conversation. So you need to look in, and some places you'll be surprised a bedroom is $10,000. Some places a bedroom is $100,000. So it just really depends. So you must do your counts for that. But I think my point with the appraiser is that The appraiser, if it has an extra bathroom, if one house has 3 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, and the other house has 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, and they're about 200 feet plus or minus, the appraiser is going to say, all right, let me add and see how much the bathroom is worth, and then come to the table with a bathroom, with the adjustment, and add a bathroom price or subtract the bathroom price. So that's what they're always doing. So, and he's going to do that with a lot of the things, even the square footage. They'll start identifying, all right, this one is 200 square feet bigger, then let's take off the price per square, however he figures out the price per square foot it would be. So as far as if the years of the property are similar and the style of the property is, let's say the bedrooms, the bathrooms, and the square footage are all similar, and the style is not so different, they may consider that. Also, they may figure something like that out. Well, we have a guest sneaker walk buyer going on. So, so that is what may happen. So with that being said, let's move on. All right. So amenities and sizes. So bedrooms, bathrooms, the type of construction, the style of the house, the age of the house. So as we were just saying, that's what we would consider each one of those: bedrooms, bathrooms, style of house, age. And then remember that you can do a plus or minus on them. And this is where I think this is really where the art comes at. The biggest part of the art format of being an appraiser to figure this out. And you hear me now just talking about appraiser because I'm always thinking in my head, what would the appraiser say? What would the appraiser say if I have a 3-bedroom and 1,500 square feet, and then I find a 5-bedroom that's 1,700 square feet? Well, I know I intellectually know ballpark of what a bedroom size is. I know a bedroom size is not 1,000 feet. So now I just go goofy. Is a bedroom size 500 feet? No. Average bedroom is probably what, a 12 by 12, a 14 by 14. So a 12 by 12, that's 140 feet, maybe 180 square feet for a large bedroom. That's more. 14 by 14 is probably a master bedroom in most places. I know. And then you may go down to as small as a 10 by 10, which is 100 square feet. That's probably the smallest. So you may be between 100 feet to 180 feet. And so there's 2 extra bedrooms. Then the appraiser may say, okay, I'm going to take off the square footage of those, if that's all that's there. Now, remember, I am saying always try to go apple to apple on whatever you're looking to do there. Outside of that, you are going to have to make plus and minuses. And the appraiser is going to do that anyway. Because if you've ever gotten an appraisal, you'll see like he'll do, this house has a basement. That one doesn't. So he may give you $10,000 for a basement. He may say, this house is a 4-bedroom, and the subject house, the main house, the one he's evaluating, is called the subject house. So the subject house is 3 bedrooms. The comp is 4 bedrooms. He'll take off money off of the comp so that it becomes closer to that. I see a question. So the comp is based on recently sold only. That is absolutely true. Comps are based on recently sold, as we did the other slide. The best, most recent, less than 30 days and so forth and so on. If none have recently been sold, do you use the value as shown on the sites like Zillow? Okay, so we're going to answer that piece. I'm going to answer it a little down the road as we get to those. So Google Street and Earth. In today's time, man, technology has stepped its game up. So a lot of times I like to teach about comps, but I also like to teach about like, how do we use this? So when I'm making offers on MLS, a lot of times I need to figure out the value of the property. Because no, I do not look at Google or Zillow and say, hey, whatever Zillow's saying, that's what it's worth. Absolutely no. No way, Jose. No. You must do your work. You must look into it. So what I do is, let's say I find a property on, someone sending me a property. Like I just got like 4 properties sent to us earlier this week. So those 4 properties, we looked online. We saw some pictures of them online. I also did I wanted to do Google Street so I could do a drive-by the front and I could look at the other property. So I do a virtual drive-by down the street looking at these other properties. And then I do a Google Earth so that I can look above. A little bit creepy, I'm gonna say sometimes, because you can like zoom all the way in and see someone's house. I can see if it's a pool. I can see how big it is. I can see, is it in a neighborhood? Is it like, what's behind the property? So it helps me to get information that I need so that I could do a true assessment to say, yes, make that offer, or the one that I really love. Yo, I take it. I don't know why it always says like that. Yo, I'll take it. Let's do it. Let's buy it. Let's make it happen. Oh, I just get excited thinking about it. So we use Google Earth and Google Street to identify those. And then we use the online photos. So we'll go online and we'll look at some stuff. Like I wanted to kind of jump on this. I hope this doesn't mess me up right here. But I wanted to share, let's see if I can share some pictures here. Applications, let's see here. Cancel. So I have this guy here. Let's see if I slide this over. Do you see that? I don't know if you see it now. I'm going to, let's turn on the screen share. There you go. Hopefully you see me. So I just pulled up real quick on Google, and a lot of times I'm just pulling this up so that you can see like the pictures, and there's so many pictures on there of these types of properties. So, if I just look, I'm really looking for an ugly one. Let's see. Ugly. Where are you, little ugly? Ugly. I want ugly. There you go, ugly. Look at that. So look at that guy. So a lot of times I have to come in and pull up properties. So this is how I may look at the property, and I'm like, all right, let's look at all the pictures. So I'm saying, does this property, and I'm using my property inspection checklist here. I'm saying, all right, it needs landscaping. It needs to refinish the deck. That kitchen definitely has to go. Look at these different colors. I'm not redoing it. And let's just, and in the beginning, I'm always considering that I'm going to make this property look absolutely beautiful. Oh, by the way, look at the date on these pictures, 4/27. So that is like just a few days ago. I need new floors. I need new carpet. I need new paint. So I can do my property inspection sheet like right here. New paint, new paint. All right. Ceiling fan. Got it. Bathroom. Ugly. Probably had to do a new bathroom in there. So I'm going to put a price for a new bathroom. Those are not hardwood floors. That has to probably go. So I could do a lot of assessment from these pictures right here. And when I put the number of paint and I say I have to paint, that's it. I'm considering I'm painting the whole house. I don't care, so it doesn't, I'm not going room by room on paint. I could see the windows. So the windows, I don't know, they look a little suspect. They may be okay. Here's my thought. When in doubt, say that I need it. Like this one's probably broken, this window. The other one looked like it was broken. Window AC, so we know that there's no central air. We got furnace lines down here. And then this bathroom. Look at that tile, that, and that. Needs 2 new bathrooms. Survey says new bathrooms. All right. And then we have floors. And when I do the floors, I'm thinking one time, oh, this is good. We see electric panel. Yeah, we need a new windows. The panel looks full, but it looks like a newer panel. Probably won't need too much to be done on that. So I don't need an electrical upgrade for the most part. Oh, there's 3 bathrooms. See, we would have never saw that. So I would be filling out my property inspection sheet here, which is a different training. This one is just so that we can look into pictures and see what we see. All right, plumbing looks a little crazy, possibly. A little sump pumpy. Furnace. All right, this may not be too bad. This looks a little old. I may consider that I might have to replace at least this one, the heating system. If I want prime money. If I'm going to do a hotel, maybe I just get them tuned up and keep it going. On a hotel deal, they're not expecting that. If I scroll down on Zillow, one thing that I always like to come and do is take a peek for taxes, because the taxes where we are expensive. So here's this. Look, this is the property taxes. What I went to here was like price value of the house and the property taxes. So $9,000, and that was like 9 years ago. So it's definitely going to be higher. So this may be like $12,000. This one, but we know it's higher than 9. It sold for $224,000. They foreclosed pretty quick on this one. Interesting. So I would pull comps. So they have comps here, home value. But I am not by any stretch. They're saying it's 3 something. I take a quick glance at it, but it is by no stretch that I would say this is the value to the property. So I would dig in deeper. Comparable homes. Look, 07, 17, 385. So I would be digging in a lot deeper to check those comps. But I just wanted to show you the pictures and that piece for here. This was the part of looking at the photos, my friends, looking at the photos. All right, so that's how we look at the photos. We just also saw some property taxes and Zillow. So I might use Zillow or some of the other resources to pull the property values there. But by no stretch, again, I repeat, I will not just look at that and say, hey, oh, Zillow said it's worth this and do that. No way. Because we don't know. We want to double check that data. And you're making a pretty, big investment here. So you want to make sure that's good. So top home sites to get comps. So MLS is great. The downside with MLS, and the realtors never, ever say this, is that MLS only shows properties that were sold by MLS. It doesn't show all the other deals. So if a bank sold their own property on their own, it would never be shown there. For sale by owners are not shown there. So you're probably missing out on quite a bit of data there. But MLS does, because they have a clean process, it does help. RealQuest for a lot of the MLS systems RealQuest is the MLS for a lot of towns. So they have a lot of great data. So RealQuest pulls MLS data and public information data to get property values. Zillow right now is the behemoth of the free home value websites. And with that being said, it does. I would say today it does a better job than it did 3 or 4 years ago. 3 or 4 years ago, Zillow was like horrendous, and it's better now. But there's these anomalies that you need to pay attention to, like when you're crossing over the road. So Zillow doesn't know, hey, don't go over these train tracks because it's a whole different town. And those are like some of the top reasons on why you still need to come and check your own comps and make sure. Now, I will, if I was starting off brand new, I may say, all right, Zillow, show me your comps. I put them on like a map, and Zillow does have a feature that says, hey, throw them on a map, and then it will show you all the properties, how far they are from the subject, and do that. I really just have not found any of the softwares that do like as good of a job as, let's say, we'll start at the top as an appraiser and work our way, down. Like an appraiser's pulling like good data, and it's clean and it's very processed. Redfin.com is a popular alternative. Trulia, Realtor.com, Remax, eAppraisal. So there's a lot of great websites out there that will help to make that happen. And, so use them as often as you can. If people ask me, I tend to look at Zillow real quick. I have access to MLS, so I may look at that. So it just kind of depends on it. Rough and Dirties is probably Zillow is where I'm going to for a very quick analysis of the property. Bang, 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 bang. All right. So So here's how it would look. And this is just a sample. So just please use this as a sample. When I print it out, I like to look like this. I like to see, all right, the green one is the subject. And then you have 1, 2, all the way up to 10. And I'll show you the next page, which kind of lines them out. And this is a sample of recently sold properties. This is just a sample, so don't use it as, the Holy Grail. So here's all the numbers of 1 through 10. We go back to the page, and then we can see, all right, so 1 is close, 2 is close, 7 and 8 are how many blocks over? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, that's like 5, 6, 7, 10 blocks away. So we're gonna look here. I like this other one. So as often as I can, I try to get this right here. You see this distance? Oops. So the distance piece. No, that's not distance. This is distance. Does it show? It does not show my whiteboard. All right, turn off the whiteboard. So anyway, this distance. So 0 to 0, that means it's close. None of these, the furthest of all of these comps are half a mile, 0.05. So that's great because the closer the better. The square footage, you start seeing the square footage. So they're all 3 bedrooms. Nope, this one is a 2 bedroom. So the bottom one's a 2-2. So these are all 3s. These are all 2s. And then let's go back to the close ones. What were the closest ones? 1 and 2. Let's look at 1 and 2. So 1 and 2, Super Bowl Drive, sold for $250. 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, 1,200 square feet. The subject is 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, 1,400 square feet. Number 2 sold for $265. 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, 1,400 square feet. So this number 2 is the identical square footage on this property, and it sold for $265. We don't see the inside of the property, but let's just say that our property is fixed up in great condition, and then number 2 is also fixed up in great condition. I would have to say that this property is probably worth $265,000 based on just those 2 comps. Now those were really, really close. Let's look at another one that is 1441. Number 3 is 1499. So would I pick number 2 or number 4 on this? Well, it just kind of depends, I guess. But let's look at number 4. No, excuse me, number 3. And then this guy is 1,300 square feet, and number 6. How far is number 3 and number 6? 3 and 6 are like not too far away. And then here, number 3 is like 0.02 miles away. And then this guy is 0.04. So with that being said, we know that this one sold for $250. This sold for $257.9. This one sold for $265, the same exact one. So it's probably worth in the $265 number. Yeah. So that's kind of how I'm looking at all of them. I mean, this one will bring it down, but it would actually bring it back up because they would have to add the square footage on it. So if we add it, what's this difference between this square footage and this one? It's about 150. So they would have to add 150 square feet to this one, which would increase the price probably to about $265. So that's how we kind of look at the comps from there. So let's talk about comps when I'm selling the property. So here's a property that I was selling. And when I was selling the property, a lot of times when I'm selling the property, the thought process is, all right, I found these 3 comps. Let's just say we're buying this property. We got these top 3 comps, right? These top 3 comps, I'm going to now use them when it's time to sell. This one I actually use 4. And now when it's time to sell, I would use these comps to show my buyers when these properties, I would use these comps to show the value of the property when I'm selling it. So a lot of times I wholesale a deal. If I'm wholesaling a deal, I want to show them what the after repair value truly is. So I will give them comps just like this. These are sold. This was the address, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1-car garage, 1,455 square feet. 8 Hawk Lane, so for $430. 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. So this is just a sample. This was at the time, just like the other one, at the time of when we were selling it, we put this together. It was a snapshot for that. So this was fresh for the moment. I know it says 2016, but right at that time, this was no less than like, I don't know, maybe 3 months. So, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,400 square feet. Look how close those square feet are. This one's 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,500 square feet. If it's an extra bedroom, I may be taking 100, 120 feet off, and that's going to bring it still close. This guy, 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,200 square feet. That's 255 square feet, and I would have to take a bedroom off. So this is going to be my lowest comp. And then this one right here, and we saw this one right here. It also needed a little bit more renovation, number 3. So sometimes you ask, why is it lower? Well, they didn't put a new kitchen or new bathroom in that one. This one is what? 13 feet smaller and 1 extra bedroom. 13 feet larger and 1 extra bedroom. So for $388. This one also needed renovation. This one right here was in beautiful condition, and this one was in really nice condition also. The number 1 and number 2. So they still needed a little bit of upgrade, but I put them there so that they could actually see when they look at the pictures on these two and they're like, well, this one needs a kitchen and a bathroom. Well, that would make sense why it's still lower. All right. And then actively, we were showing at the time, this property was active at 420 and this one was active at 430, 1,100 square feet. This one was active at 1,800 square feet. They had done a pretty great rehab on that one. So, and then, yeah, we put all of our information call now. So this is an actual marketing piece we use when it's time to sell the properties. Nice and clean, because what we are looking to do is to make it an easy buying decision for the seller. The person that is going to buy. If let's say I'm going to rehab I'm going to wholesale the property. I want it very easy where they say, oh yeah, this property is worth $420. And I say, well, it needs $40,000 in renovation. And I'm asking $275,000, and after everything, you're going to make $60,000 net. I want them to say, yes, I like it. Those numbers make sense. I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. I want it. Let's put it on the contract. That's my goal. So that's why I show those buyers this right here. And if I was going to retail the property, let's say I bought it and fixed it and sold it to the end consumer, if I was selling it by myself via owner financing or something like that, I might use something like this also to show the value of the property. A lot of times it's not so much needed when I'm retailing a property, because if they like it, they'll put it on the contract and then they're going to get an appraisal anyway. So it's really not too much of a conversation of the value on the property. Whoops. Whoop. Hold on. Where are we? I lost my presentation. 1 second. So with that being said, let's swap. I said swap. You don't stop. I'm rocking. All right. I think I'm back, right? I'm back. All right. So there you go. So this has been the best practice for finding property values. So I saw there was a question there. If none have recently been sold, use the value. So no, if there have been no recent solds on the property for the value that you've been looking for, if for the subject, if there's nothing that has been sold. Whoops. Okay, you do see me here. Let me shift over here. Give me 1 second, everyone. Okay, there you go. So if nothing has been sold, then they may go a little bit longer out in time, And they may say, well, nothing sold in the last 3 months and nothing sold in the last 6 months, but we had 2 sold 7 months ago. They may use that if they're closer to the subject. If there is nothing there, then the appraiser must go further out. Now you keep on hearing me say, what would the appraiser do? What would the appraiser do? So I follow the appraiser's guidelines. So the appraiser may say, you know what? Rather than there's nothing in a half-mile radius. Got it. Let's go 1 mile or 3/4 of a mile. Then let's go 1 mile. Nothing. Let's go 1.25 miles, 1.5 miles. All right. We found 1. We found 2. We found 3 in 1.5 miles, and they use those. And the further you are, if you enroll places, that may be 5 miles. That may be 8 miles. Just because there may be a lot of vacant cornfields in between, which you have no control. There is a value for every single property. There is a value for every property. We just got to find the value. So we're about to wrap up. I want to say thank you so much for this presentation. If you have any questions or comments or anything, please send us an email and let us know what's going on. We want to help you. Practice, practice, practice on your comms. You got to move forward. You got to push forward. You got to practice, practice, practice. Remember, it's art. Ask yourself often, what would an appraiser say? I would say, one of my mentors told me, hey, Jason, why don't you meet an appraiser and take him out for lunch? And then ask a bunch of questions. And from there, you should be able to make it happen. So maybe take an appraiser out to lunch. If I was close by, you could take me out to lunch. And we could talk a little bit more about appraisals and comps and all kinds of great things. But maybe one day. Anyways, my name is Jason Rodriguez. I'm here to come and support you, be an awesome mentor to you, and teach you the absolute best. Until then, I talk to you later. Peace. Whoosh. Bye-bye.